What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk. I am Philip, and joining me this week, Mr. Keith Garlington.
Good to be back with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a while since we've done one. You helped over the summer with Fast 9.
Right, yeah. We did F9.
Yeah.
I remember it well because you didn't bother to show up.
Right.
You had some lame excuse like spending time with your family or enjoying your kids or
Something.
some silliness like that. But
completely unreasonable. But
no, seriously, it's good to be here. I always enjoy coming on talking movies.
yeah, no, I'm happy you're here. If you haven't already, be sure to check out keithinthemovies.com. And you can also catch Keith in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette if you live in or around Central Arkansas. Look for his reviews every week in there. But this week we are talking one of the big awards contenders for 2021, especially for Netflix. This is a Netflix movie that will be in theaters first and then on the streaming service on Netflix on Christmas Day. We were talking about Don't Look Up. This is the new film from Adam McKay. Stars everybody in Hollywood, just A-list down. You know, you got Leo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence kind of headlining it.
In starring roles and in small roles. I mean, it's just
everywhere.
People popping up all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Meryl
Great
Streep
cast.
and Jonah Hill over here. You've got Mark Rylance and Cate Blanchett and Tyler Perry over here. It's
Timothée Chalamet, Rob Morgan.
all of that to say this is a pretty big movie, pretty big investment for Netflix. They're gambling hard on this one, but of course you know the deal here. Initial reaction. We just walked out of the theater. What is your first gut feelings about Don't Look Up?
Gut feeling is I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
I kind of walked out of it. Well, let me rephrase. Let me go back a little bit. I actually walked into it. You and I have had this discussion with a little hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
Not big on McKay. I like some of his Farrell movies. They were what they were, and I know.
Right.
And again, I know he has a big following.
Yeah.
And but then they went their separate ways, and he made, I think it was The Big Short, which I liked all right, and then he made Vice.
What do you say?
Which I hated.
Hot damn.
I mean, I couldn't hardly, I cannot imagine sitting through that again. So I came into this thinking, what am I going to get?
Right.
And I guess you would say I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't think it's like when it comes to award worthy,
Right.
Whatever that means. I'm not really in that camp. But as somebody that actually went in really concerned what I would think about it, I left pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, I laughed a lot. I mean, a lot. I mean, it gets, there are so many just gags going from subtle to just all out absurdity. And I like that he went with that. Because to me, this sort of went back to some of the old McKay, but not full-blown. So it's kind of him mixing some of his old and new.
Well, we'll talk about. I'll kind of respond to that with where I'm coming from because it's an interesting
Rabid
point.
fanboy.
Basically, basically.
No, and that's fine. That's fine.
I was 16, 17 when Anchorman came out.
Completely unnecessary that we start
I just want
bringing
to say
dates and ages out.
Well, I want to say I was deep in the heart of teenage years when Anchorman came out, and it hit me at the right time. So from then on, you had Talladega Nights right after that, Step Brothers after that, the other guys, like all those to me are like comedy classics almost.
Yeah.
I love all of them for their individual reasons.
And let me just say, I wouldn't personally call them classics for me,
right?
But I don't hate any of those movies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then he goes kind of into the more prestige area with Big Short, which Big Short I legitimately kind of adored. I loved it. It was one of those things like, oh, he can do this. Mm-hmm. He's trying to make this jump. I see what he's doing, but he did it. And then Vice, I liked Vice. I didn't hate it.
Hot damn.
I'm kind of where you're at with his career in general with Vice, but this one is. There's so much, and about an hour into it, I was like, "Is he handling all this well?" Because there's a lot to juggle here, and I thought for a minute he was going to lose it, he was just going to like the marbles were going to drop and it just scatter, and like he
comes close.
He does. He really
close.
does.
Yeah.
But I think he wrangled it in by the end, and it's just it's a monumental satire, but at the same time, he tries to really hit some heavy stuff, and I don't know where the line is between the satire and the sincerity. And
That's a good point.
You know what
That's
I mean?
A really good point.
And
I do.
It was just like, I obviously understand what he's saying. Obviously, his point of view, he is not afraid to say what he wants to say about anything and everything. There's a just parade of topics he is making fun of.
I will say this, to that point, one of the things that I like more about this is that he wasn't so aggressive in trying to not make a point, but specifically make his point.
Yeah.
You know, here he seemed like he was a little more open and thinking like, okay, in my world, and really, it's hard to argue, probably our world too, there's a lot of dumb people out there. Yeah. There's a lot of people that make bad decisions, and it's not something that's designated for one side of the political aisle,
right.
You know, one class, one, you know, this type of person. That we're all really kind of dumb in Adam McKay's eyes. And when you see what he's going for, it's hard to prove him wrong. And so, but I like the fact that he kind of steered away from just really just taking sort of this, I don't want to say extreme side, because a lot of things he was saying in his other movies isn't necessarily extreme, but sometimes he would kind of venture off that way, almost turn a blind eye to sort of the reality of it.
Right.
And here he just seems to like, you know, whether it's social media, whether it's cable news, you know, from politics to the way we interact with each other. There's just all of these little sort of just little bites he takes out of things. And I kind of love that about it.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's not afraid to let you know what he thinks.
Right.
And but no, I just thought sort of his openness to this, just hammering everybody, say, look, guys, there's enough blame in all of this to go around.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's what I was gonna say. Like, the culture as a whole is under attack in this movie. No one is safe, and I like that he's not like trying to. It didn't come off as preachy to me, which is what you always kind of fear with his stuff, because he is very opinionated.
We need both parties to step up for all of mankind and get to work.
So I was relieved almost that this wasn't preachy, but it still very much got his point across. And I guess we should probably talk about the plot of the movie real quick. Quick summary: Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio play astronomers who discover that a comet is going to hit the Earth and destroy all life. And
planet killer.
The planet
you gotta get
killer.
these words right.
Yes, and it is about them trying to warn humanity of that, and the degrees to which they are taken seriously and not taken seriously as a result. It is very much holding a mirror up to recent events, recent elections, all kinds of things. Just, again, the culture in general, and how everything has become so divisive down to, you know, the smallest like issues. And so I think it just did a really good job of like pulling back, looking at the bigger picture of those things, and being like, look how idiotic this is, and look what it's going to do to us.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And showing the repercussions.
Yes.
Showing the consequences of, you know, and again, in his own sort of comedic fashion, where this is going to lead.
Yeah.
You know, where this very well
which is the
could
point
take
of
us.
it all.
That's
Which,
the point of it all.
It's
yeah.
just like,
That's
if
exactly the point of it
it's
all.
either, it's like, it is like holding up a mirror, and it is kind of reflective of our own society and planet right now, but it's showing us like we are at that point where the dam's either going to break completely, or this is going to be the time when we start to repair it and figure out how to fix it. Because I think it very much is like him trying to do his best to kind of
in his own way.
In his own way,
in his
yeah.
own way. And kind of get to your point, I know what you mean too about whether or not, you know, how to parse the satire with the sincerity, because at times it almost seems like it is just sort of a joke to him, even though, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about, without spoiling anything, the last probably 30 minutes. It's almost like he tries to come full circle and say, because the jokes all but fade away, and he takes a lot more sort of a serious view.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious to see how people will respond to that, whether they'll just sort of see it as an interesting sort of shift and more of a wait. Now let's look at things a little more, a little more pointedly, a little more honestly, or if it'll just be like, oh, where'd the jokes go?
Yeah.
And I was kind of in the middle because I was having so much fun with the jokes, and I did feel it deflated a little bit towards the end. But then when he really brings it home, it sort of made me think, okay, I can appreciate what he's doing here.
Yeah.
I appreciate what he's going for. So I do think the sincerity's there. You may just have to wait till the end
I do
to really
too,
kind of see.
I really, no pun intended, but it was impactful. Like, it really was near the end. Like, it was like, okay, like, I got you. I get what you're saying. And yeah, we're mostly laughing here because the alternative is crying.
Right.
But, I get what you're saying, and I see where you're coming from. And I did want to talk about the humor, because it's very much in his wheelhouse. And kind of in coupling that with some of the performances and what you thought of those and what the highlights were there for you.
Performance. If I was really going to say a highlight, to me, Rob Morgan. I
Yeah.
love Rod Morgan, and in a way, he's kind of the straight man in all this. But he's got his pretty funny little hang-ups and like he was so interested in a certain celebrity couple, and he was very much invested in them.
So sincere in his
and every time
delivery.
they would come up, he would have. But really, a lot of times, just Rob Morgan's expression, it was just sort of this like, you can't be kidding me.
And he's legitimately great. Like,
so
if
good.
you've seen Mudbound or Just Mercy,
One called Bull, I think it was it last year? I think that was the name. Anyway, it was great in it. Rob Morgan's amazing.
He is. He really is, and I'm glad he's continuing to get he's essentially almost a third lead in this. So
He
that's
is.
that was really neat to see.
And I thought DiCaprio was great as this sort of just anxiety-ridden. He's an astronomer.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is he's made into the sexiest astronomer.
Right.
And he looks, and we'll get to this, I'm sure, but I'll just go ahead and mention it. One of the funny things about the performances, or at least from the way they handle Leo and the way they handle Jennifer Lawrence, is they basically put bad haircuts on them and try to make them, these really good-looking people, look kind of like us. It still doesn't work because you're still looking at them like, no, they're still pretty good looking, but they try to make them look normal,
right?
But they're so good in those roles.
Yeah,
they carry the movie because they're kind of the main two,
right?
But you also have to mention all the little side characters that pop up. And don't kill me for this, Jonah Hill. I'm really not a big Jonah Hill fan. He is hilarious in this. He is
so good.
Clearly one of the biggest jerks
of
the year, maybe of the decade in movies.
Right.
I mean, he is such a weaselly little jerk, a mama's boy. And he had me cracking up the entire time.
He was definitely having a blast.
And I was having a blast with him. His lines, the way he delivered them, just right on cue and just the right time, just the right delivery.
And he's in that McKay kind of clique with Apatow and everything, and so he knows kind of the rhythm of that of their filmmaking speed, and it's you can tell it when he was just like you can tell what takes he was just letting them fly.
Yes, for sure.
Do want a special recognition for Ron Perlman because there's a scene that he has that maybe I was laughing, or I was probably laughing the hardest the entire movie in his little 2-minute stretch.
Armageddon scene, was it?
Yeah. Oh, it totally was. I was losing it. I was cracking up.
It's so, and it's the one where he's just from another generation.
Yes,
that's so funny.
It's so funny. Mark Rylance. I think Mark Rylance probably should have won his Oscar for this instead of Bridge of Spies. I'm just saying, his whole arc is is that more outlandish
It is.
thing, and it just lands.
There's a story. I mean, there's a real world truth behind that.
Oh, absolutely.
I
yeah.
mean, it's a very real world truth behind that character.
You've probably seen the commercials where Ariana Grande shows up for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
She does kind of what you'd expect. She definitely did what McKay wanted her for in his movie.
To get him an Oscar-nominated
the original
song.
Just look
Original song nomination.
I did not even consider
Just
that,
watch,
but it makes
watch.
sense, and that will be ridiculous. And it's kind of funny because McKay's one of those ones. The Oscars are kind of synonymous with no comedy, but McKay's one of those filmmakers that is he's a comedian and was a writer on SNL. He has worked in that world forever, and he's kind of the one one of the few that they've kind of let in. I was worried he was giving the ambition was too big, but I think by the end of it, I was like, yeah, he kind of nailed that.
Yeah.
And so
I think end-wise, the only thing was I did feel like it was a little long. I started feeling the length a little bit, especially once he makes that shift and the comedy dries up a bit. Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's intentional. But at that point, there's a stretch there of about 10 to 15 minutes where I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready for this to kind of kick back into gear. And I know what they're doing. They do some interesting things with some characters during that moment, during that little time frame. But I did start feeling the link there.
Yeah.
I do think he sticks the landing, though.
Yeah.
And which is kind of what you want out of the last little bit.
The only other question I wanted to kind of ask was the turn in DiCaprio's character was a little jarring for me. I didn't know if it just maybe happened too quickly.
I think it definitely. As a matter of fact, I did jot something down about that. About where did the words I wrote were where did that come from?
Yeah,
because there is a shift that he makes in the character. Again, it's sort of pregnant with meaning. There's a reason sort of about how celebrity status can turn even an ordinary Joe into, and how we lift people up on pedestals. And I think all the way through, I mean, even as that little, again, we're dancing around things, but even as that little storyline ends, the way it ends seemed like, oh, okay, well, all's good. You know? It's let's hug. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, no.
Is that how? Well, I guess if it's in the
and
world,
they kind of
maybe.
and they kind of give him an out, which was a little disappointing too.
Yeah,
but I was like, all
so,
right.
yeah.
I mean, but no, I feel like there is a lot more to talk about this, and maybe as more people see it and plot points get revealed, we can talk about it again. But no, as you know, we do initial reaction ratings. Out of 5 stars, what would your star rating be for this?
I'd probably say 3.5 with easy room or a lot of room to maybe move it up to 4.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if that makes sense. A lot of room to me, but with a little more thought, I could move it up to 4. But I'm gonna stick with 3.5 right now.
Yeah.
But man, it's good. It's good.
I love to hear it.
The parts I really like.
Yeah.
Put it that way. That's a good way to put it.
Well, after our initial conversation around McKay, I love to hear it. So.
Yeah, progress.
We're getting there.
By either me or him, I'll let you.
Well, I really loved it. I think this is one of those movies that in decades or generations, a couple generations down the road, they're going to look back at this and be able to really understand this point in history and and that we were able to it will give an interesting perspective on where we were. Who knows where we'll be at that point. But I think it'll be really fun to look back on, and I think it's really kind of just I don't want to say important for that, but I don't know. I think it's kind
eye-opening. Maybe a little eye-opening, and because I think I really like what you said there, because I think a lot of people, whether it's important or not, I think a lot of people are going to look at it in 10, 20 years and go, man, those people, they were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going to look at how we were just obsessed with social media and how we let just sort of cable news just kind of dictate a lot of the information flow, and how we just turn blind eyes to so many things that were going on. I mean, I think in that sense, it's going to be pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, who knows where we'll be?
Who knows where we'll be?
15 or 20 years.
The thing. No, I hate to, like, because some of the contents, I don't hate to, but like because some of the contents are so wacky, you hate to use like big serious terms, but it feels kind of monumental in a way, and I really liked it. I'm gonna go 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It's probably gonna be in my top 10. Who am I kidding? It'll be in my top 10 of the year. I really liked it. I think you should definitely check it out on the big screen.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
As much as I really wanted to coming in, I expected this may be one of the first ones where we have a Siskel and Ebert moment, where we could really sort of slug this out. But no, 4.5.
Yeah,
more power to you.
It's coming to theater screens. I believe December 10th. So if it is playing on a big screen near you, definitely check it out. If it's playing on a movie tavern near you, definitely check it out there. If not, it will be on Netflix on Christmas Day, December 25th. Certainly encourage you to check it out then. But thank you, Keith, for joining me.
Always fun.
Don't Look Up, and definitely, again, if you live in the Central Arkansas area, check out Keith's reviews in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and check out Keith in the Movies, where you can find a lot more reviews, a lot more trailer news, movie news, all that good stuff. But thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I feel like I'm parody. I feel bad doing this now.
I'm sitting there thinking, what would McKay?
But hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You know all the
Follow
YouTube
me.
stuff.
Follow me.
Please. Views, likes. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.